Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and I am by myself for this one. We're going to talk about the fact that Twitter is angry once again. I know it's a day that ends in Y. This time they're mad because Disney cast Nani for Lilo and Stitch, and they don't feel that Nani, the girl, the actress that's playing her, is dark enough complected to play the character of Nani. Now, I agree the actress is very light skinned and doesn't have the, ethnic look that Nani has. So I don't disagree with people that this actress, who might be wonderful, might not be the best choice for this character. It's the same argument about why Halle Bailey is probably not the best choice to play Ariel if you're basing it on the character and you want the character and the actors to play the character to look like the original character. You can't argue on one hand that it's completely fine to change Ariel to Halle Bailey and on the other hand say that this actress can't play Nani because she's too light skinned and she's biracial, but she's not good enough because she's not indigenous enough looking. You can't make this shit up. There's like a complete double standard here. And it's usually followed by something along the lines of, well, Ariel isn't, her being white wasn't part of her culture. I'm like, but there are a lot of people in Hawaii who are white and have lived in Hawaii for generations, and you would argue that they're Hawaiian. But the hypocrisy. We're going to get into it. Before we get any further, please like and subscribe. If you haven't done so already, we're at 304,000, I think. So woohoo on that. And we're going to get into this. So apparently it's all over the place. People are mad about Lilo and Stitch. NBC News did a story on it. They're like, Disney's casting a Lilo Stitch character prompts colorism debate. Native Hawaiian fans say Disney has a track record of whitewashing characters, and they're not happy with the reimagining of Nani as a lighter-skinned biracial actor in the movie adaptation. I agree. She doesn't look like Nani. The little girl they have playing Lilo looks like Lilo, though. But that being said, that she doesn't look like Nani, you guys all argued that it didn't matter if the new actor looked nothing like the original because, you can change it. That's fine. But what it sounds like is it's okay to change things one way, but not change things the other way. And that's where there's an issue here. So they go on, they're talking about how it's going to be, the Lilo and Stitch is going to be the latest classic to get live action treatment. I would argue, one, we don't need another live action movie. And two, they're going to make Stitch CG. And this is going to be probably nightmare fuel. I mean, if you made Stitch CG to look like Stitch, and if we're going by what they did with Flounder and Sebastian and Scuttle in The Little Mermaid, I really am afraid to see what Stitch looks like in the live action film. So they're saying many were left disappointed when Disney announced the casting of a biracial light-skinned actor in the role of Nani, Lilo's older sister. Because in the original movie, she was drawn with darker skin, black hair, and ethnic features. I agree with you. This actress does not look like Nani. 100%, you are correct. I am not going to argue that that's probably not the right casting choice because I agree with you. The difference is I'm tired of it being only one way. You always see those jokes where they have like the racism chart and it's like they have like Family Guy pulled over and they have the different light skin tones and they make the joke about which ones are acceptable, which ones aren't. It's like that. If you come up as a lighter shade, you have to be changed because you're a problem. Because there's this misconception that white people have no culture. Every other character that's not white is because of culture, but a white character has no culture. And I'm going to argue that right now because that's bullshit. Because that's like saying that people that are from France have no culture. France has no culture. Germany has no culture. Denmark has no culture. You're arguing all these countries have no culture, but then you're arguing at the same time that other countries do. And it's like these stories came from, the culture of the time in those countries. Because once upon a time, we weren't all traveling like we are today. We kind of stayed mostly where, we did have migrations and stuff, but we stayed mostly where we were from. So when they're telling these stories, it's going to be reflective of their culture at the time. So the argument that basically anybody that's not white has a culture and white people have no culture is stupid, besides the fact that there's a lot of people that are white or look white that have a lot of other cultures in them. And nobody is, for the most part, is straight up one race or culture to begin with. But that's what they're going to argue, because they start arguing that down here. They go on here about, I get that there isn't a look to being indigenous, but now Nani is not a light-skinned indigenous Hawaiian woman, so let's be serious right now. Agree, she's not. But that's what they're going to do it as. And they said, oh, Disney got a problem because they brought up the actress that played Jasmine, who was, a British actress, and she was part, I want to say, Indian ancestry, but she was very much lighter skinned than Jasmine, which I thought was an odd choice as well. But they go out to, here, look how they did my girl Tiana. Because in Wreck-It Ralph, they said that they made her too light skinned. Even though the skin tone right here, I'm looking at it, it's not any different really. Her hair's lighter, but that's about it. Like if you would eyedropper the skin tone to this skin tone, it's not that much different. Anyway, so you go out to Twitter, and they're trying to argue that, here we go. It isn't like The Little Mermaid, where it doesn't matter who played the character. And Lilo and Stitch were literally tied to specific culture. Here we are again. The culture. Yes, I agree with you. The Hawaiian culture plays into this film. It's in Hawaii. You have a hana. You have cultural things about the film. But the film itself isn't all just about being a person from Hawaii. I mean, it's like you could technically put Stitch in another setting and it would probably still work. It's not that tied to the culture other than the way the aesthetics of the film are. Meanwhile, they're saying that Little Mermaid, okay, I'm tired of hearing this, okay? Oh, Little Mermaid, you can change that because it's not a culture. Au contraire, that's bullshit, okay? That's complete bullshit, and I'll show you why. Little Mermaid was written by Hans Christian Andersen. Hans Christian Andersen is Danish. He lived in Denmark. He was born in 1805 and died in 1875. And he wrote a lot of different stories like The Emperor's New Clothes, The Little Mermaid, The Steadfast Tin Shoulder, The Red Shoes, The Princess and the Pea, The Snow Queen, etc., Thumbelina. These are all stories by Hans Christian Andersen. They have been passed down. They have stood the test of time. They're fairy tales. And they're technically a folklore, a Danish folk tale, okay, at this point in time. Denmark, until the 1960s, was homogenous in terms of ethnic and religious backgrounds. 99% of the population was white. So if you're going to flip and argue that you can't make a lighter skinned Nani because of the culture of Lilo and Stitch and it being Hawaiian, but then argue that you could do it with Ariel because, she's black, but, white people have no culture, is basically what you're saying. Let's be honest, that's what you're saying. The story was written in Denmark at a time where 99% of the population was white. So by the source material, she might not have had red hair. That one's up for debate, and I'll give you that. But she would have been white. The story has, these stories were embedded in the culture of their location when they were made. He was from Denmark. He wrote stories about things from the perspective of someone from Denmark and the Danish culture and what he saw. So I can flip and guarantee you, without a shadow of a doubt, Ariel was not black. Okay? So do not try to pull the culture shit. Because basically what you're saying is only people that aren't white have culture, which is a load of shit. Would you say France doesn't have a culture? Because they're pretty white. Would you say Italy has no culture? I mean, they're darker skinned, but you know what I'm saying. They're mostly considered European. Would you argue they have no culture? That Denmark has no culture? Germany has no culture? None of these countries have culture because in America, you basically say if you're white, you have no culture. Gotta tell you, guess what? Did DNA testing, found out, besides the fact that I'm royalty for many countries, including Denmark, I found out that I'm Gypsy. And I'm part Gypsy, and we have actually a medical condition in our family that comes from that. Also found out that I'm Northern African and a bunch of other things. So do I still not have culture, even though I might have come from these other countries? I'm very, very pale. Actually, Neon's whiter than I am, and his skin's much darker than me. Does that mean I have no culture? This whole argument about culture is a load of shit. So let's just take that argument off the table, because that's bullshit. Yes, Lilo and Stitch takes place in Hawaii, and Hawaii is the setting is an important part of the story. I'm not arguing that. But what I will argue is that you can't change the characters in that movie because of the culture. It's like when they say that you can't change Tiana because of New Orleans. Well, last time I checked, New Orleans has been around for years, and there have been a lot of people in New Orleans who weren't black. You know, just because it's in New Orleans doesn't mean that it's automatically black people. I mean, this whole idea that it's culture. You use the culture excuse only when it's non-white people. And then when people argue about it, you say, well, you're white and white don't have culture. Ariel doesn't have a culture. It's just the way she looks, but it's not a culture. Yeah, it actually came from a culture. It actually was a story passed down in Denmark by Hans Christian Andersen, who grew up in a place where it was almost all white people. So yeah, I don't think Ariel being black was what he was thinking. If we're going to go there. Do I agree with you on the fact that I think that this girl is probably not the best choice for Nani? Yes, I totally do agree with you because I understand where you're coming from. You want to see the actors that play the characters look like the characters. Yeah, imagine that. I completely understand where you're coming from and I agree with you. She doesn't really look like Nani. Do I think Disney's going to do a damn thing about it? No. I do not think Disney's going to do a darn thing about it because they've been caught out before for things like America Chavez and different stuff, and they never did anything about it. They're not gonna. So I don't know what to tell you there. But this whole idea that only people that aren't white have culture, and that's why you can change any character that's white, but not a character that's ethnic, is a load of crap. And, you know, that's all I'm going to say about it. You can get mad if you want, but that's the truth. And you're basically just saying white people have no culture, which is a lie. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.